Hello there, Aries. Welcome to your love tarot reading. Today, let's take a look at what kind of relationship you want versus what you need. Now, Spirit might have some advice for you, and we'll take a look at that. We'll see who's coming towards you and what the dynamic could possibly be between your new partner. So let's have a look. Now, new partner could, certainly be just you reviving your current relationship, if you're working towards improving it, making some changes, for example, or you could be just welcoming in new love that's coming into your life. So let's have a look, Aries. Bottom of the deck here, we've got Page of Wands. So obviously we've got a situation here where you are obviously very inspired by something. You're inspired to start something new, something exciting. So let's take a look. The first one here, let's take a look at the kind of relationship you want is someone that is battle tested, basically that's been through tough times, not necessarily someone that's just wet behind the ears and is going to come at this relationship as something that, all ice cream and puppy dogs, right? You want somebody that's going to be mature and who's going to know how to handle themselves in any tough situation, somebody that's got grit, right? Somebody that's going to be able to be tested, because we all know that, relationships can be tough, right? Both sides. Now, what you really need is someone that is going to come in and make decisive decisions, basically. Make some decisions for the relationship, the outcome, right? Somebody that's going to, sort of be a little bit in charge. One of you is going to be in charge. Someone that's going to know that how a relationship is going to eventually turn out is really dependent upon the two people who are involved in the relationship, not necessarily someone that's just, you don't want somebody passive. This is what this card is telling me here. Now, what's happening here in the past is this is what's influencing you. Maybe someone has come in and, in a previous relationship where they were a little bit distant, it's one thing to, have confidence in yourself and know what you want and know your self-worth. But this individual might have been, a little bit detached, right? Kind of like, well, if you don't do things the way I want, I'll just go off and do my own thing. Somebody that may not have been completely emotionally engaged. So that might have been something that's influenced you, your behavior in the past. Now, what's coming towards you here is someone that may have dealt with grief, sorrow, and a lot of loss, right? So you have to make sure that this person is kind of over their emotional baggage themselves, right? So someone that is not necessarily focusing on their ex, for example, or the past, right? So it's really tough to be in a situation when you're with somebody who's, just thinking about what's happened to them and then they carried over into your relationship, into this new relationship. Now here we've got your overall view of your relationship or how it should go for your next relationship is that you're ready to expand. You want a relationship that's not going to be restrictive, a relationship that's going to be full of energy, full of, inspiration, full of vigor, full of adventure, something that's not going to just be boring, right? Underneath it all, what your biggest fear here is that maybe some things that were never met is something that's more stable and mature. So in the past, you may have been with other relationships or other individuals that weren't really dependable, that weren't really set in their character or set in their overall goals for life, right? So the King of Pentacles is someone that is very rooted, right? Someone that knows what they want for their future, someone that's set, but also very mature and very dependable. So underneath it all, I think that that's something that you really crave to have. The biggest advice that Spirit has for your next relationship is to recognize the things that serve you and the things that don't. And so one of the hardest things about a relationship, of course, is, you kind of keep going with the same routine and it gets kind of stale. Now, in order to revive a relationship or keep a relationship going, exciting, is recognizing patterns of behavior that aren't really serving us, right? So if we've got, if any interactions you two have is a little bit too fiery, or if you have lack of communication or poor communication, you need to obviously recognize that, leave that, try to figure out how to communicate best and move forward, right? So that's what this Eight of Cups is all about, is that you're going to recognize the things that are helpful and the things that are not helpful. And if it's not helpful, you're smart enough to leave it behind. Let's take a look here. In this area here, I'm seeing that the interaction that you're going to have with this next individual is going to be very passionate, very fiery, right? And, full of adventure, full of energy. you're definitely not coming into this relationship stale. You want excitement, you want passion, you want to be able to count on this person as somebody that's going to constantly, light your fire. You're also worried here. The biggest issue here is that you may worry that this individual that's coming your way is thinking too much about their past, like their ex, right? Now, if this is if this reading is about your current relationship and you're trying to rekindle and revive the relationship, you're worried about the person thinking too much about the past, what the mistakes were, right? Or dwelling in the past. The other issue here is that someone in your past, somebody from your past, may come back in the picture, right? If this is obviously a new relationship that you're starting, you're worried here that what if my ex comes back, right? Now, this is also just your attitude, towards your potential partner. I think that there's a part of you that wants to be able to create memories, happy memories with your next person. And that's why you're all about the excitement and the adventure and, making sure that you're stepping out and enjoying life and not sitting at home on the couch and getting kind of stale and boring, right? You want to be able to make these memories with this individual. Now, possible outcome is that you are going to have a very reciprocated relationship with this individual, a give and take. And I think that you're going to approach this next relationship in a mature way, and you're going to be able to delineate and say exactly what you want and what you expect in a relationship, that it's going to be give and take, equal give and take. In other words, you're going to equally support one another, and you're going to both put in what the other one will also put in. In other words, there will be balance in the relationship. Let's clarify this a little bit more. I want to clarify here this this Nine of Wands here as far as what you want in a relationship right now. And we have the World card here, which tells me that you want someone, again, like I've said, that you want somebody that's battle tested, right? That they've completed a few things in their life. You don't want somebody that's immature. You want somebody that's going to last through any kind of ups and downs in a relationship and has completed and learned lessons from previous relationships. Now, that's what you want. Now, what you need is, Spirit saying what you need is someone that's going to take control and make decisions, right? And understands that they're not going to just sit there and be passive and let you do all the work. They're going to, pitch in and make some choices too. That's what you need, is somebody that's going to be engaged in the relationship with you. And here the issue is that, because you want somebody that's going to be making decisions, you want variety. That's what you need. In order to keep the relationship, exciting and new, you want variety. You want choices. You don't want to be sitting at home on the couch doing absolutely nothing, right? So definitely something that you want is just that excitement. Now here you've got the Queen of Wands in the area that from the past that's influenced you. So of course I said earlier that you don't necessarily, I think there's a part of you that still lingers around this energy of someone that was a little bit detached from the relationship. But what you're really wanting is that both of you, like this new relationship, that you're hoping that both of you have had time to reflect on your previous relationship, carrying it over, and hopefully you've both learned your lessons, you've both kind of matured and completed your journey with that last person, so that you can come to this relationship, with a new attitude. So here, this individual is going to have to make some choices, right? They're trying to create balance in their life, right? So you're going to notice this in this individual. Again, they may be lamenting over the past here, and you may notice that instead of being grateful for what they still have, they're still thinking about what has been lost from the past, and there's a part of them that's really having to make choices and trying to balance these emotions and these thoughts versus what's coming in with you. They may still be hanging on to the past, and you may notice that there's little glimpses of them thinking about, their past. Now, as far as how you see how you see a relationship, what should be your attitude or your overall view over a relationship, is that if you've lost something in the past, right? All relationships go through ups and downs. If you've lost something in the past, there's a part of you that says, you know what, find the good, right? See things from a different perspective. Not everything is always a loss. Not everything is always a fear, right? It's all about expanding your horizons, expanding your way of thinking, and seeing that, you're not left out. It's a matter of how you're seeing things. These people can go in the church. They're not kicked out. They can go in the church. It's just that they feel like they're unworthy of being in the church. So in your perspective, as far as you know, how a relationship should go, is that it's all about attitude, right? You don't want somebody with a negative attitude, so that's something that you may have to contend with if you notice it in your in your next potential partner. So that's sort of like a red flag, right? Because you want somebody that's going to be, you know, carrying on with a positive attitude, though, even though something has struck them down, they're going to learn that, hey, not everything is lost. We're going to just reframe our thoughts and carry on. All right. Now, in the area here, as far as any fears or unmet needs that you have, again, there's a part of you that really wants somebody that's going to be stable, mature, and very dependable. Yeah, and you want someone that's going to be independent. In other words, you don't want to sit there and have somebody that you're going to be carrying along, right? You want somebody that's got their own maturity, own level of accomplishments, own level of independence and focus. In other words, you don't want to be babysitting somebody, right? Aries, no one does, but I think more for you. You want somebody that's dependable, rooted, and also very, you know, independent and has their own accomplishments. You don't want somebody that's going to be stale and stagnant, right? I keep saying that, but that's true, right? Aries, you're bold, you're very independent, and, you know, you're very fiery. The last thing you want is somebody that's just stale. All right, now here in the area of when I was talking about trying to identify what it is that you need to leave behind that's not serving you. Again, it's about seeing things from an enthusiastic, very inspired way, right? Not necessarily always thinking about, oh, you know, boo-hoo. I mean, because this person, though they're leaving, I get a sense that they may be sad, right? They may be sad because they're having to confront the things that no longer serve them, and they're going to have to leave it behind. I think here the advice is that you're being told that it's okay to look for that spark, constantly look for that fire, that spark, that wonder in a relationship. That's how you keep a relationship from getting stale. All right, let's see. Now, as far as your interaction with one another, I said earlier that you're probably going to come in this relationship with a lot of fire, a lot of charm and charisma. And look at that, you've got another Wands card here, a Six of Wands. And again, you're going to show a lot of admiration for one another. You're going to hold each other up. This individual that's coming your way may see you from afar and just really admire you and be very attracted towards you, because of course the energy of the King of Wands is that individual who walks in a room and is able to just command attention. So that's going to be you, and this individual is going to see you as this person that's full of just, you know, they're going to see you from afar and go, wow, there's the person that I want to be with. You know, they're going to admire you from afar. Now, here in your areas of your attitude towards, you know, your potential partner, remember earlier I was talking about the past here. You may be worried about this person dwelling in the past. And then there's a part of you that's hopeful that you can create memories with this individual. And see, here I can see that, you know, you may be fearful that you will become, you know, you will end up in a conflict situation here, because something about their past may pop up, and then you're going to say something, and you're going to say, look, enough is enough. Leave the past behind and carry on with me, or we're going to continue to have this conflict. Do you see what I'm saying here? I think you're going to be very bold, because you are Aries. You're very, you know, take charge kind of person. And you're going to say, look, if you don't let go of the past here, this past hurt, we're going to continue to fight over it. And it's going to be a you know, point of contention between the two of you. Now here, as far as the outcome is concerned, I said earlier about the Six of Pentacles being a card of reciprocity. You expect that this person is going to give as much as they take. It's going to be a nice balance between the two of you. Let's take a look here if there's anything else. Yeah, and you expect here that, you know, if this person continues to have any kind of despair from the past, you expect them to let it go. However, the possible outcome here can also be pain, right? Because what's happening is, if you are upset because this individual won't let go of the past and you have conflict, this can create a lot of hurt and pain between the two of you, right? So what this is telling me is that, again, we all have to work through our past hurts before we can start a new relationship, because inevitably we will all fight over the past if we don't let go and learn from previous mistakes. Here we've got the Page of Pentacles, because, you know, you're going to come in and you're going to see this new opportunity with this individual, and you're both going to come in curious and wanting to learn, and you're going to take baby steps, and you're going to go slow in this next relationship. And I believe that this next relationship is going to be very transformative for both of you, right? Because if you're both coming in from previous relationships that didn't necessarily work out, I think that this new relationship, you're going to learn about each other and about yourselves, and it's going to be very transformative. It's going to take a lot of work. right? Especially if you're both coming in from previous relationships that have been full of hurt and conflict and, you know, pain, that sort of thing, right? But you're both going to come at it with a lot of love. You're going to offer love to one another, and hopefully that'll be enough to kind of bring you two together. But really, it's about you both coming in with that level of maturity and fight within you, right? To learn from the past, learn from your mistakes, and carry on for your future, right? So you're definitely going to come in as being very attractive to this individual, and they're coming for you. They are coming for you. Yeah, and you're both going to want that stability. Look at that. So there's going to be love, there's going to be stability in the relationship. You're both going to, these are not nights that are about speed. This is going to be slow moving, right? Let them charm you. Let them, you know, pour love into this relationship. Let them show you something that's long lasting and stable in the relationship. Now, of course, we all have free will, and none of this can, you know, come true, right? You know, these are just some suggestions that Spirit has for you. So, of course, use your very best judgment. But look at the bottom of the card here. This is all about optimism. This is a card of abundance and optimism, and that's what universe is trying to tell you. You've got a lot of potential here for the future about what you want, what you need, any advice that you may need to carry with you for your next adventure, your next relationship. Okay, Aries, thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon. I love you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.